Hold on, it's thinking. Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Yvonne Mason with Midnight Publishing. This is our Wednesday podcast. Today, my co host is back. I have missed her. I love Andrea, and Andrea is always willing to step in. So,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for that, Andrea.
Yes, thank you. Mary is back, and we are full of it today. We have a very special guest, a new author, a brand new author. She is my cousin. I love her with all of my heart. I did not know that she thought so highly of me. I do not feel like I've deserved it or earned it. But that being said, she will be sending me her new book, Secrets, which is amazing when she gets her final draft done. So, Mary and I welcome my cousin Linda Ryan, who will write under L.E. Ryan. Welcome, my dear sweet cousin. I love you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So today, because Linda has sent me questions and she got beat up pretty bad by a so called beta reader, and I will find out who he is, and he and I will have a conversation. There's things that new writers, new authors, when they get into this pool of indie publishing, they want to succeed. Well, let me tell you, folks, you've already succeeded because you took that step of writing a book. I used to do a event called I've written the book now what? Writing the book is easy. What is out there now, and I'm just going to say it, are sharks because they want to get their teeth into these new authors, these new writers who don't understand the process, and they don't understand that you don't have to spend boatloads of money you don't have to publish. So, first thing, Mary, you started off and talk about what we talked about this morning about being bombarded by, oh, I can
Ugh.
make you famous for $3,000.
I get these emails all the time. And then this morning, I got an email from another writer friend of mine who is a little older than the three of us. And she was really concerned because these emails start out so seductively, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, "Oh, I just ran across your book, Faith and Folly, recently, and oh my gosh, I can't believe blah 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 blah," and they vomit this stuff out, but it sounds good. It hits your ego, and you're like, "Oh, they read my book. Hmm, how'd they get my book?" You see, I'm skeptical, so I'm like, "Oh, you read my book. Well, what part did you like the best?" I start asking them questions, and then they start backpedaling. But a lot of people, and I was guilty of this the first dozen times it happened, because it just feels so good to be acknowledged. Hey, somebody saw my book. Well, yeah, they what they do is they troll Amazon for
Mm-hmm.
new authors, and they'll tell you all these warm and fuzzy things, and then they'll say, "But I noticed you don't have any reviews yet." Well, no, because the book just released this morning. I'm sorry. Nobody's had time to read the book and review it. Oh, and you don't have any sales. I can help you get sales.
And how do
And
they know you don't have sales?
who knows how they know what they don't know? I had a recent one. This was a new one. I am the facilitator for a book club in London, and we have 1,500 members. Your book, I think it was The Faith and Folly, was the one they were talking about. Might have been, I don't know. Anyway, they said, your book, sometimes I'll just generically throw out your book, and they won't tell you. And I'll say, well, I have 6. Which one are you talking about? So this book club facilitator has 1,500 members, and they're all going to buy my book and review it. Well, great. Let them do it. I want to see it before you start filling my head with other stuff. So I played along just to see what would happen, knowing full well it was a sales pitch. So after about 6 emails back and forth, wasting my time, she goes, or he, I don't, you never know if it's a man or a woman, or it might be a robot. But anyway, this email came from someone who claimed to be a woman, and it said for as little as $99 a month. Really? Do I look that stupid? So what I typically do now is I will glean these emails, and if they talk about my book, I'll just turn
She'll
turn
flip
it
it.
into a review, and I'll post it. And then Yvonne, God bless her, she just takes that and shares it. So it's getting the momentum that I need. And they say it, I put their name on it. If
They
they say
said
it's
it.
me,
It's
I claim.
free
But what they're
advertising.
doing is they can take the title and my name and put in the ISBN number to like Chat GPT, and
Mm-hmm.
it will tell them basically what the book's about.
So there
And
you go.
and it is very frustrating because you spend time and you have this false hope. Oh, somebody read my book. That's wonderful. Well, why don't my sales records reflect that? And why didn't you go back and do a review? And so I've started asking them, if you'd go write me a review, that would be great. Oh, well, that's not what I do. I'm offering you this service. I can do a book trailer. I can do a banner for your book. And I just tell them now, my publisher's got that all under control for me. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye.
And,
So
and that shuts them down pretty quick. And sometimes I just report them as spam because that's what they are.
so
But you get these weirdos out there who will also then take the other thing, and I know that's what you want to talk about, Yvonne, how they'll say something negative about your book. And
and then we
no.
flip that. We flip it on their head. We flip it. So
Yep.
Linda, since you have beta, I hate beta readers. I'm just going to be upfront, people. I hate beta readers, and the reason I hate them, and I don't hate them personally, I hate what they do to authors. 99% of the beta readers out there are people who do not have the courage to write their own story. So they want to write yours. Linda, I want you to tell us what you sent me about one of your so called beta readers that I want to choke him because he's
It,
wrong.
but he was trying to be constructive. I do have to say that. I know. He had some good suggestions, but basically told me that my characters were not well defined and that my story was a man bashing story. It didn't have uh, it would not have wide reader support.
Oh, no, no, no.
This isn't, that's not the worst part. He also said he couldn't get past the 67th page. Now,
Right.
this is
He
an
did say
alleged
that.
beta reader that's supposed to read the whole blooming book. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. If somebody treats my author that way, when I find out, and trust me, I will find out eventually, and I will call them out. If you volunteer to be a reader for one of my authors and you treat them with such disrespect, you don't deserve to be in our circle. The reason being, Linda has worked very hard on this book. It took a lot of courage for her to even come and say, what do you think? Because I'm going to tell you what, 99% of the writers out there, they don't have enough self confidence to approach people because we have been rejected. I was rejected so much with Dreamcatcher, I could wallpaper my house. You know what? Not at this place. Right, Mary?
Absolutely not. This is with the exception of erotica, this is the most welcoming publisher you'll ever find. Linda, is Secrets a novel?
It is a fiction novel. Yes, it is.
It
And
fiction and novel are the same thing. And I
Okay,
used to
it's a
get so
novel.
I used to get so annoyed at people when I'd send them an email. I have a sister especially that would do this. I don't have time to read your whole novel. I'm sorry, a novel is fiction. I'm sending you an email and an update of my family. It's not a novel. It's not, know your words. So that's one of the things that we do here. You don't have to say fiction and novel. You can say one or the other. And
Okay.
um, if it's fiction and it's man bashing, maybe there's a reason for it. I used beta readers for my first novel, which is called Steep Steps, which I was going to work on getting toward Yvonne today, but then I got into my own head and I started doing other things on Facebook. But I'm going to get that to her as soon as possible. But I did employ about a dozen beta readers, not employ like hired. I just asked them, they volunteered and agreed. I had one who sent it back and said, I can't read this, it's a trigger for me. It is about sex addiction. It's about abuse also. It can be hard to read, but that doesn't mean that a beta reader should not read. I mean, I appreciate her saying this because that let me know I was doing it right. I had done something. And so for him to feel like you were man bashing tells me that he is a man who needs to be bashed.
I
So
think it's
Yvonne,
more his history. And I didn't
exactly.
anticipate that
You
when I
don't.
asked
You
him
don't know
to be
what
a
other
reader.
people. Yeah, you
And
can't know
so I
what's
think,
going on.
right. And I think that he has some history that probably was very difficult for him. But he did have some very positive suggestions as well. And I don't want to call him out and take him
Making
down.
fun.
He did a good job, but it let me know that there's that the words are very important, and what
The
we put
words
on a
are
page
important, and
affects people different ways.
I will say this: if he is not comfortable with it, there are other ways to tell you this. And a good beta reader knows this, and they know how to. But I don't know how you picked your beta readers. Mine were just people that I knew loved to read, and they were people that I thought would give me feedback. And like I said, I sent mine out to about a dozen people. Maybe half of them responded. So we live and learn. And
Mhm.
there are other ways to get your book critiqued and read. Um, but bravo for you for finishing it. How long is the book?
It's 80,000 words roughly.
It's about two
It's
and
So,
a
about the same size as
something
mine.
pages. Yeah.
Yep.
The
yeah.
the thing is, in our writing world, Linda, is there are always going to be books that some people can't read, won't read, whatever. You have to write from your heart. It's your story to tell. If you censor your words because of one person, you're not being true to yourself as an author. If he can't read it for whatever reason, that's on him. You're writing for the masses and you're writing for yourself. There are books out there that my true crimes, I've got people that say I can't read this. You know why? Because it's raw. I get that. It's not for them. But in law enforcement, they eat it up because they understand why I wrote it the way I wrote it. Victims of Families of the victims understand the rawness, the brutality, the ugly part of true crime because they lived it. So they get it. Susie Q out there who has the stomach of a gnat and can't even clean up after her own child won't be able to read it. Do not change your style of writing for I beg you, don't change because you have to be true to yourself.
Keep your voice. Your
Exactly.
voice is so important. And I remember as I'm saying these words years ago, Yvonne, you wrote a story, Be Unique, about finding your voice. And it was just so powerful to have that perspective. Having your voice is, everybody has their own unique voice. There are copycats, and we don't like copycats, but I think the world needs to hear from you, Linda. They need to read your book, and I've got to get a list of all of the Midnight Publishing authors and start finding their books and getting them, because there's so many amazing people out there. We should start doing Midnight Publishing reviews online too.
Good idea. So,
Okay. I do, I think as a new author, let me say this though, and that is you want your product to be as good as you can make it. You want it to appeal to as many people as possible. So beta readers for me were important, and I chose professional people that each had a strength that I thought would be very helpful in evaluating the story and what I'd written. And sometimes my emotion does overflow into my words. Can't help it.
Good.
Been that way forever.
supposed
And
to.
so I
That's the way it should be.
and so sometimes they do need to be tempered, because I, even when I worked in a very stressful business, I could be curt without meaning to be. If you asked a question, sometimes you needed to back up to hear the answer. So I do understand that I can do that. So the beta readers were important. But I think as a new author, I've been turned down for my books. I've got like three that are written, and I've been turned down over and over and over by the publishing houses. But I have, because they're not the genre they're looking for right now. They're not it's not on their wish list. And I've actually been turned down because my book was too emotional. So um, but you're right, as far as publishing houses that want to charge you to publish it.
Oh
I've
no,
been
no, that's a
accepted
big
across the
no-no.
board. So it's a hard world to break into. I think just trying to get my foot in the door and get a story out there and find out what the reality is, instead of being told what everybody thinks the reality is. And that's what I'm hopeful to do. And I will say this, you are the most welcoming publisher I've come across. I thought it was because Yvonne was my cousin, but I'm finding out that you're that way with everyone. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Linda, in real estate, they preach location, location, location.
Yes, they do.
And I will tell you, there's a lot of politics in the publishing world. There are a lot of, everybody wants to be on the bandwagon of the next big thing. We all want to be writing Harry Potter, or we want to be Tom Clancy, or whoever. But these agents and publishers, they're the same thing. They don't want to invest their time and their money in anything that's not going to be a blockbuster. Well, I get that, but that doesn't make our stories any less valuable or any less important. And having 6 books out there, I know that I've made a difference in the lives of several hundred people. Yeah, I'd love it to be several million. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime. But if it doesn't, the books will still be out there. They'll still be making an impression on other people. And I've worked in the industry as a publisher, not of books. I was a publisher of magazines. So I understand that aspect as well. It's all about timing. You got to have the right manuscript for the right publisher at the right time, while he's standing on one foot drinking his coffee and his mistress has broken up with him and he's gone back to his wife at just the right instant, and everything falls into place. Otherwise, it goes on the slush pile. And it sits there, and it sits there until some new intern comes in. And he wants to impress her, and he gives her a stack of books, and she goes, "Oh my God, have you read this book? It's amazing." And he wants to impress. It's all politics. It's romance. It's seediness. It's ridiculousness. And Yvonne takes all that bullshit out of the way, and she helps us get our books out there. I've written children's books, adult books, memoirs, fiction. I'm all across the gamut. I haven't done sci-fi yet, but that might be coming next. But I've queried them all, and I always get the same response over and over and over. We love what you've got. This is a great premise, but it just isn't right for my list. And you mentioned their wish list. Those wish lists, I think they're subjective, and you need to be more objective. So I started self-publishing, and then next thing I know, Yvonne's doing this, and I'm like, I'm going with Yvonne. So I'm getting all my books moved over to Midnight Publishing, and so far, I'm very, very, very pleased with what she's done for me. Um, Not just in helping me get my books published, but in giving me a new purpose in life, and the way she promotes what I put out there. It's and I look around, and it's not just me. I mean, I've known Yvonne practically since I moved to Florida, and that's been umpteen years. But like you said, it's not just because you're her cousin. It's not just because I'm a longtime friend. Yvonne does this for everybody. And it doesn't matter if she's known you for a minute or a millennial. She's going to promote you as hard as she promotes herself.
And there's a
And I'm
reason for
very
that.
appreciative.
And there's a reason that I do what I do. Like I said, I've been out in this indie world when indie authors were maligned. Uh, We weren't given the time of day, much less, aha, how are you? There were a group of us, Linda, there were about 7 of us that came together and decided if we're going to keep getting rejected by the big six, and we'd all done our homework, then we would do it ourselves. We helped each other through the years doing what I do for y'all now on a regular basis. When one of us put out a new book, everybody shared it, everybody promoted it. When my publisher died, which was rude of her, but that's another story for another day, I had 2 people that I had sent to her. One was already published by her, and I just sent Andrea the new book, and then another was a newbie like you who had written a children's book for his children many years ago, and his dream was to see it in book form. Well, Andrea Rhodes died. She had a heart attack, which broke my heart. And my 2 friends said, what are we going to do? We'll never get published again. So I came home and I sat down and I had a conversation with God. And I said, God, you know I've been out there forever and a day I'm in. What do you want me to do? And this voice said, if not you, who? If not now, when? And I went, okay. So I went back and they said, I don't guess we're going to get published. I said, contraire. Welcome to Midnight Publishing. And from then it is what it is now. God gets all the glory for this because I get authors like you, my dear cousin, who say, I've been turned down, I've been rejected. I have a dream. And what we do here is we make dreams come true. God gave me the ability to know how to put it up on Amazon, how to get it out there, how to create covers. Mary sends me 3 children's books and says, here, what can you do with them? I'd never done children's books in the format that they were. What I did, I went and learned. I have to put those children's books up as JPEGs on Kindle in order for them to be out there. I have to
And the
go in.
crazy part, the cornfield flyers for the other author, also named Linda, um, I had been fighting Kindle for a year with that. And Yvonne figured out I don't know, she had the Rosetta Stone or something, but she figured out what I was missing. And she just, within 3 weeks, the book was out there.
So we
And,
don't wait a year.
and it's selling. Her book is
Yes.
selling.
Yeah.
And so I'm just overjoyed that you
Well,
were
and I'm
able to do
excited
that.
to get the book out there. I think it's a decent story. And to be fair, I sent my book to like 7 people, and all but one read it, and all but one had very positive response and very constructive, uh,
Good.
feedback. So it wasn't all bad. I just want you to know that it really wasn't. Yvonne
But
has taken off
that one
on this
hurts.
one. Yeah.
He
She
hurt. He hurt my cousin. He hurt my author. I
Well, your cousin's got a much thicker skin than that,
I,
sweetheart.
I understand that, but what Mary will back me up on is you don't come sideways at my authors, you don't come sideways at my family, and you don't come sideways at my friend because I am the gatekeeper of this little family. They've got to come through me to get to y'all, and there's a very good reason for that. The 20 years that I have been in this business, I have been maligned. I have been personally attacked. I have been threatened. Um, I have been told I'm an idiot. I have been told I can't write. Well, that goes all the way back to grammar school. So
Me too. So,
you don't come after my authors. It is not allowed. If people want to put up a bad review because for whatever reason it's not their taste or it's not what they want to read, that's fine because we're going to take it and flip it. That's just what we do. I protect my authors like I protect my family because, as far as I'm concerned, my authors are my family. They work hard to put a product out there, and we make that dream come true. So, yeah, I picked up on that. I picked up on the hurt in your voice, and yeah, I'm, yeah, you
well,
had
where do
some
we
good.
go from here? What's next?
What's next is you send me the final manuscript, and I put it out there, and we go balls to the walls, as they say. That's what
Well,
we do.
you gave me a list of social media to get on. I got to tell you, that's not my strong suit.
But you will
um,
learn. Do
Well,
one a
you're
day.
retired now, so what's to hold you back?
I I started trying to set up accounts, and I got a little lost in the process. That's what that's
So
what set me back.
what you do, honey, is you do one new account a day. Just one. Don't try to, because this is a new area for you. So don't overwhelm yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, what I told her to do, or asked her to do, because I don't tell my authors to do anything because I don't like being told what to do. Last time that somebody firmly requested something from me, I was 2 years old, and that was my parents. It didn't work well then either. So I don't do that to my authors. What I asked Linda to do is her social media on Facebook, set up a Twitter/X account, an Instagram account, a Threads account. What else are we on?
Blue
Um,
sky.
Blue Sky, and there was
there's
one more I don't remember.
and to do now. I want you to do one a day, and the reason for that is there is a way on your Facebook account that you can link your other social media. So when something goes up, all you do is hit the share button and it goes. Do one a day, and we can do a Zoom call, the three of us, and walk you through that.
Yep.
Okay.
Join the website. go to the YouTube page and hit the subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, our YouTube page is free to subscribe to. Let me just give you some numbers, my sweet cousin. This morning on the website, and I still don't have your bio and your headshot. I need that so I can put you up there. On the website, we have 1,088 views. 1,088 people has looked at our website. 1,088. Hang on a minute. Let me flip this. 1,088 something. Hold on. What did I say the other day? Let me get the right numbers. Yeah, 1,088 views and 716 visitors just since we've been up and running. We're up that much because everything that I post on the Midnight Publishing Facebook page, it goes on the website. If it's something like this, it goes on YouTube. Then I link it to the website. So they go to the website, click on the link, and go straight to YouTube. The YouTube site has 32,000 views.
With 3 zeros.
Yeah, with 3 zeros.
That's a lot.
So
It is.
all I want you to focus on right now is finishing your book so we can get it up. And then we will set up a Zoom call and help you set up your social media.
Okay.
And I'm really humble. I really am. But I'm really good at doing certain things. And one of the things that I've become really good at is working with Canva, which I absolutely love. There are other options out there, but I'm accustomed to Canva. It's a way that you can create interesting posts for your social media, and you can schedule it for all of them. It takes a minute or two to do it, and it takes a couple of minutes to get comfortable doing it. And I've taught other people how to do it. I have posts that are scheduled through, I'd say, the first week of October. I tend to stay about a month in advance. And then I come back and I throw things in occasionally to increase my readership. But it really helps to know that there are options, there are tools out there that we can use that make what we do a lot easier. Yes, you have to engage with people on a here and now, real-time situation, but Yvonne and I, we've just done this so long, it's like breathing almost. So we can help you figure it out.
I got to tell you two girls something. I don't know, Mary, if you've seen it or not, but one of the big six has now become afraid of indie authors. They are now on my social media putting out, and ladies and gentlemen,
I have seen
Penguin.
that.
It's Penguin. They are asking for authors. Now, I'm sure they're charging. But this is what I am saying. After so many years of us being a non-entity, we are being noticed because we are making a difference. More people are buying books from indie authors than mainstream authors. And Linda, there's a reason for that. You are a reader like I am. If you read a certain author over a period of time, you will begin to notice that they changed the name of the characters, but it's the same plot, it's the same characters, and it is the same ending. We as indie authors don't have to do that. I know.
Another thing, Yvonne, we were talking about these big six, whatever. If you get your book accepted, let's say Penguin House says, yes, Linda, I want to publish secrets for you. Now, Yvonne, once she gets your manuscript, she'll design the cover for you and share it with you and show you what it's going to look like so that you've got a final say in this. And she will have the book up for you. I'm going to guesstimate worst case scenario within a month. Your book is out there in all 4 formats: softback, hardcover, digital or ebook, and Audible. You will not get that at Penguin House. You will get a contract. They'll send you an email. They'll say, we love to write, we want to publish secrets. Here's what we'll do for you. Expect another email from our legal department. They'll send you a long, very, very long, complicated contract. And they'll tell you what kind of advance they're going to give you. Well, everybody wants to see this Hallmark story. We all want it, but it's unrealistic. It doesn't happen the way they show it on TV. But you'll get the contract. The contract will tell you, we're going to give you, let's say, $10,000 advance. Ooh, yay. But you start selling your books, and if you don't sell $10,000 worth of books within the first month or two, you'll never get a penny out of it. And then they go, well, we're just not going to release the Audible book yet. Or we're just going to hold back on the hardcover because she hasn't sold enough paper covers. And they string you along, and you might be even as little as 6 months or as much as 18 months from the first email to actually seeing your book in print. You're not going to have that with Midnight Publishing. The only thing that's going to slow down the production of your book getting out is if other people get their manuscript to Yvonne before you do.
And then it's still within a month. Because what I do is the first thing every morning, I sit down at my computer, and if I've got an author that needs to be out there, I take care of that author. Then I start promoting everybody, just like this morning. In fact, when I get your bio, my sweet cousin, and I will be doing a live about you. I do a live every morning. And it goes up on all social media. It goes up on YouTube. It goes up on all the podcasts that are out there. And it goes up on the website. And it goes up on all of my pages. I have Author Yvonne Mason. I have Yvonne Sewell. I have Off the Chain. I have Indie Authors. I have the one that I use every day, then Midnight Publishing. It goes everywhere. This is what I do. Now, people say, well, yeah, but what does it cost? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times I have to say, even Linda goes, what's the catch? God gave me a gift. It is time I shared that. God takes care of me in ways y'all will never understand out there. Not these two, they understand it. But most of you will never understand how God takes care of me. And it is my turn to take care of others. So with that being said, before you have any more questions, let's do a little bit of soft promotion.
Okay.
Tell us what Secrets is about and why you wrote it.
Secrets is about a young woman. She is born with a gift to see events before they happen. She starts out, she actually, once she's grown, goes to the police department. She works as a police stenographer, which is a position that I'm not sure is still there, but used to be where a stenographer would go with a detective to a victim or crime scene to record the statements and or the scene itself and all of their observations, and they go back to the station and type it up. A lot of it happened within the station as victims and witnesses and perpetrators were brought in to have their statements taken. Statements were very important because it became the critical point that was used in a court process. So she goes to the police department. She's 18 years old. She's graduated from high school. But this gift that she has to see events before they happen besieges her in the law enforcement environment because most of what you see is not pleasant. And so part of the process is learning to manage the gift, but can she live with it? How does she get to a point where she can accept it? And it's as she goes through the process of answering that question, she stays in trouble pretty much at the police department because her actions, her intentions, her quest to avoid the inevitable or the tragedy causes her to break the rules and to work outside of the box. So, in listening to her instincts and in following what she feels is her God given responsibility, she often gets herself in hot water. And so it's the story of her coming through that growth process. She uses her father as her sounding board and takes wisdom from the conversations with him. So at the end of the book, um, the process has come a long way. In the law enforcement environment, at least in the state of Georgia, you're not able to carry a gun until you're 21 years of age. So this chronicles her journey from starting until she's able to go to the police academy to be a sworn officer. And so, anyway, I hope it's enjoyable. Law enforcement, as Yvonne said, is a tough field. It's a field that I actually was active in for 5 years. I actually worked as a police stenographer for 5 years with the Atlanta Police Department. So I know the environment and I know what the job entails. And it can be a tough job, can be a stressful one. So that is the book. Um, it is, I hope, well, it has a little bit of a twist at the ending. So I hope that's a surprise for people who do read it. And I hope it's enjoyable.
You
I
have
would
another
like
one.
to, I would like to say one thing, Linda. Stop hoping. You know it's enjoyable.
Uh,
You embrace this, claim it, and just promote it as if you're the biggest fan of this book because you should be. It's your work, and I think I want to read. What is the character's name? The main character,
Brianna.
Brianna. I want to read the book and find out all about her just from what you've said. So stop hoping that people will enjoy it and just tell us you're going to love
You,
Okay, you're going to love it.
it.
and like I say, you're the brand, my love. You are the brand. The book is the byproduct. And as with anyone in the artistic field, whether it's a musician, a painter, a storyteller, an actor,
A
there is
musician.
always that a musician, a songwriter, there's always that little doubt that sits on our shoulder and tells us we're not good enough. We are good enough. We are beautiful people. And when someone says, "Well, I didn't like it," honey, that's on you. That
Exactly,
that's a you
exactly.
problem. That's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
No, and different strokes for different folks. I mean, we all enjoy something different. We all
Yep.
have different, we're drawn to different stimuli. So I understand that. And, and that's just who we are. It's what makes us different. That's what gives us so many different genres to write in, as a matter of fact, because we have so
Exactly.
many different interests out there. And I think that's what makes us special because we're not all a mirror image. I would not want to be.
I
We
don't
don't
think the
want
world's
to
re-
be a bunch of gray robots doing the same thing.
I don't think the world's ready for more than one of me.
Sometimes we can't handle the
Hopefully
one we
not.
got,
I
Yvonne.
know, right?
I got to ask one thing. Okay, so Yvonne and I grew up together. We are cousins. We're 3 months apart in age. We did a whole lot of stuff together. I just want to ask you one thing, Yvonne. Have you ever written about all those teenage experiences we shared?
No, but the thought has crossed my mind because I keep getting things from people going, "We need your story." Yeah, I don't think the world's ready.
I think it would be interesting.
Oh yeah, to say the least, it would be interesting. Like the tornado that hit your house on Christmas Day, and we flew over to your house,
Right.
and there was devastation on both sides of the street, and her mother and daddy were sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Because it literally the circle of the tornado actually created a circle on the lawn so that the house was in the eye of the tornado. So we had
Oh,
like 4 hours of picking up trash and limbs and debris, but the house was untouched.
that's
And
amazing.
and on both sides of the street, houses were missing roofs and windows and walls, and rain pouring in, and it was quite a tragedy. But yes, my parents, we were sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee because the worst part was to go out and pick up all the trash again.
What else were they gonna do? That's just
Right.
one story. There's so many.
That's pretty remarkable. I'm
Hmm.
sure
So
you
It
could make
was.
a Wizard of Oz story out of that one.
exactly. Only we didn't go to the land of Oz, and we weren't in Kansas.
No, we were not in Kansas.
So I
So
know you told me, Linda, that you've got another book that
yes,
you are sending us. So tell me about that one because you have not
it's
revealed that.
I don't really have the title. I think the title is Travels with Linda and Kathy. But what happened over the course of my lifetime, when I grew up, my father used to accuse me of having wanderlust in my shoes. And he was probably pretty accurate, although I wasn't about to admit it back then. But over the course of my lifetime, one of the things that I have pursued and enjoyed the most is traveling. And so my husband passed away several years ago. And so when one of our dreams had been that when we retired, we would travel the world, and I didn't get a chance to do that. So my best friend, whom I called my sister, was named Kathy, and she and I took a summer and we went to Europe and we traveled. We were two women who were not on a tour. We were on boats and planes and trains and cars and backpacks, and we went across Europe and traveled through like 13 countries and 16 cities. And so the book is about our travels. And we
Nice.
had, I mean, there's parts of it that's just incredibly funny. We were in Finland and we were going to do a dog sled race, for example. And I fell into the sled because I didn't know how to get in it. But then worse, I couldn't get out. So they had to
That's
turn the
me with a
sled over
kayak.
sideways to pour me out. But we had a lot of great experiences. And so it's lighthearted, it's funny, it's not serious at all, really, except for the fact that we were walking across Europe. We went to Alaska, we went to the Caribbean, and then we went across Europe and into Russia. And so that's the other book.
I
Do
can't
you
wait.
plan that to be a memoir or are you going to fictionalize it?
I was going to fictionalize it. I didn't write it to be a memoir. I was going to fictionalize it because I wanted to enhance it, if you like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect.
there were some things like we got lost in Paris and realized we had, strayed into a very dangerous part of the city. And there was a man on the corner who he just didn't fit in. It was what actually made us stop and turn around and say, "What happened? Where are we?" But he came up to us and he said, "I don't think you belong here. What are you looking for?" And we actually
Oh,
told him, we said, "No, we're lost." And he turned us around and pointed us and he said, "You need to leave now because we had strayed into a part of the city that was under Sharia law."
Ooh.
And so we could have been tried under that. So, and he put us back
right.
out. Well, we walked across the street, got on the right side of where we were supposed to be, and turned around, and he was gone. So, there were
Oh
some
my
things
God.
like that that were frightening, in
You
thinking
you
about it
could
back
you
in,
could do
in
so much
the other
more.
way.
I see so
But
much
for the
with
most part, we had some hysterical
I love it.
experiences. We were in the Hermitage, and I was tired, and I leaned my elbow on a stanchion, and there were like three military people dressed in uniforms that are screaming at me in Russian, "Don't touch, don't touch."
Oh
So
no.
we had quite a bit of experience. We had a great time. So that's what that book is. It's I haven't figured out the exact title, but it's in rough draft form. But it needs I haven't reworked it. So
I would recommend if you're going to turn it into a fiction, because you can weave in a little. I mean, you could either make it a thriller or a mystery or a
right,
romance. There's any way you know throw in some extra characters that weren't really involved, but use your real life experiences as the foundation.
uh huh,
You could turn it into so many different directions. I say write it, and the title will come. You'll know what the title is, and if you don't, Yvonne and I can read it, and we can come up with a title that works. But I could see so many different ways for you to take these adventures and turn them into something really exciting
And fun.
great.
and fun. Yes.
And
And the third book that I have written is about domestic violence. I worked with a psychologist to write the book so that it evolved in demonstrating the different stages of domestic violence to show how you're drawn in and then impossible to get out, and then how to get out. So that's a third one. So that's what I've been writing for a while. It's like Yvonne, we had an English assignment in seventh grade, and I wrote this short story, got a D, and tossed it in the trash. So that was a hard start, but it's been my dream lifelong to be an author. So
Good.
I've written a lot of stories along the way, but these are the three that I've got that are actual books and actually hard stories.
I'm
and back to
excited for you.
what back to what you just said, Linda, because we were not appreciated for our writing skills. As I've gotten older and where I am now in my life, I want to thank those teachers that told me I was an idiot because I couldn't do math, so I couldn't write. Because what you did as a teacher by taking my writing away from me is you gave me a determination to say, watch me.
I
And that's
think
just,
it created a passion too, a
mhm.
Yep.
passion to rise to that level. And maybe it wasn't any good when I was 13 years old, and maybe my writing was very, I don't know, naive, but it gave me that passion to pursue it. And I had a career in human resources and corporate law. So I did a lot of writing, but it wasn't the writing I wanted to do, and it wasn't the writing that gave me joy. And this writing gives me joy.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the crux of the matter. We as indie authors write because it gives us joy. We write because we cannot not write.
Amen.
The characters in
Yes.
my head are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are screaming to get out. And if I don't put it on paper, I'm not responsible. I'm sorry. Voices in my head tell me what to do. It just is. So, what I want to tell those of you out there who are watching this and listening to this and who will watch and listen to it later is when you come into this family of authors and in our publishing world, you get the same treatment that I've given Linda, that I've given Mary, that I've given Andrea, that I've given Kim, that I've given Peggy, that I've given Alta, that I've given Isaac, that I've given Linda Humphreys. You are loved and cherished. That's what we say on our website, and that's what we say on our Facebook page is you are loved and cherished and accepted. Accepted. That is the key word. You're loved, you're cherished, and you're accepted. And people say, Linda got something told me something the other day. She said somebody told me I needed a media packet. Those cost
Oh,
money.
yeah.
Those cost money, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? I'm your media packet.
Yep.
You don't get much more exposure than right here. Well, I need to be in a magazine or I need to be in a newspaper. No, you don't. Once I put you out there, Linda, all you will have to do is pull up L.E. Ryan, and you're going to be everywhere, honey. You're going to be in so many places, it's going to make your head spin, and you're going to say, what has she done? She has created a monster. Let me get my next book out.
Yeah. Well, that'll take a little bit of time. Those other two books are in rough draft form, so
That's
they have
okay. I
they
don't
have
put,
work to be done.
I
But we're
don't,
going to get this one to you in the next week or so.
perfect. And that's another thing. Mary will tell you, I put no pressure on my authors. I refuse. You get me your books when you get me your books. In the meantime, we're going to be promoting what you've already got out there.
Okay.
So don't feel like you're under any time constraint at all. Because as an indie author, it's your story, it's your time, it's your book, it's your characters. And the characters, if you push them too much, they're going to go hide for a little while. Right, Mary? They're going to say, we ain't playing with you today because
They will
we're
indeed.
trying to take it somewhere where we don't want it to go. So until
I
you
am
listen to us, you ain't playing.
I am so excited because my son is working on a revision of a book that he wrote it about 10 years ago. And he used to belong to one of my critique groups, and one of the members told me and him that if I could have written like this when I was your age, I'd have a Pulitzer by now.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Matt sent it off to one publisher and he got turned down. And then he got discouraged. And he just basically stopped everything to do with writing for 10 years. He just stopped. And then he realized one day, well, turning 40 kind of makes you wake up a little bit, that he'd wasted 10 years of his life being angry at everything, including me, because nothing says author like his mom. So he started writing again. He told me yesterday that he has 50,000 words. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. And so where are you in the book? Are you nearly done? Is it going to be a longer version? What's going on? He goes, Mom, I can't believe what these characters are doing. He said, they're just jumping up and down every day as soon as I get home from work. And they're like, let's go play. And I'm like, yes. And
Yeah.
it will be, I think, unless somebody comes forward first, Midnight Publishing's first fantasy. So I'm really excited to get that going. Is that one of the imprints that I talked about doing?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
and that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. Our umbrella is Midnight Publishing, but because we are such a diverse family, so exciting, because we are such a diverse family, my sweet friend Mary, who said, Yvonne, and she gets to tell that story in a minute, I'm turning my books over to you so I can write more. She's now my imprint person. She so kindly took that job on. We have an imprint for children's books. It's called Small Hours. We have a poll out there we want everybody to vote on because there's 5 mock-ups of an imprint for
Morning Star,
Morning Star,
our spiritual
our,
imprint.
our spiritual inspiration imprint. And the reason we do imprints is because if someone buys a children's book and they see Small Hours, an imprint of Midnight Publishing, they know that that is under that imprint. It's part of the brand. The goal is to have an imprint for every genre we do. And it is something that if someone sees on the spine of the book, on the inside of the front cover of the book, they automatically know what it means. All of the big 6 have imprints. Penguin publishers have imprints for all the other little genres they do, and it's part of our brand. So Go and vote and tell us which one of these spiritual inspirational imprints you like the best. Yes, we've been using Midnight Publishing, but if you see Midnight Publishing is kind of like its owner, a little dark. We don't want people to see Midnight Publishing on a spiritual imprint and go, okay, what are these people, devil worshippers? No,
Right.
we're not. We're very faithful. We're very, very faithful. Mary, I want you to tell Linda you're coming to Midnight Publishing. Now, Linda, remember, I've known this woman for years. I wrote for her magazine. We met at a book event, and we've been friends ever since. So tell Linda your story about coming to Midnight Publishing.
Well, I had started out just like so many of the writers that are now in Midnight Publishing, sending out letter after letter after letter, looking for an agent, looking for a publisher that didn't need an agent, and getting rejected and rejected and rejected. So I said, well, heck, I know all these writers, because I go to a lot of writers events, and I meet all these writers, and they're independently published. They go through either Ingram Sparks or BookBaby or Amazon Kindle, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And I said, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So I started doing it, and I put my first 3 books out within a year. They were all about angels. Well, those I actually did the hard way. I went and found printers and did them myself. So I've got boxes and boxes of books. I'll get around to selling them before I die, if I live to be 137. I started out buying 500 books, and then I said, well, I can't get rid of 500 books. I should do 350. The next time I just ordered 100. It's still a lot of books. So
It is.
then I said, well, let me try the KDP thing. I put 2 books up there, but I have more books. Like you said, Linda, you've got 2 other books you're working on. I've got children's books. I've got more memoirs. I've got at least, I think, 2 more. Oh, I know I've got at least 2 more novels. So it's just a matter of finding the time. And all of a sudden I see Midnight Publishing. I'm looking, and I'm like, that's Yvonne. Yvonne's never steered me wrong ever in my life. So I called her up. Let's do lunch. We need to talk. So we talked a little bit before lunch, and I met her, and I had a flash drive with me, and I had my 2 children's books, and I had Linda Humphrey's children's book on it. I said, print these, do this, get it out there. And she did. I mean, within weeks of each other, they were all popping out, and I'm like, what? And she said, now get me your other books. And then all of a sudden, and I'm very intuitive, and I talk to dead people, and so I heard one of my dead people telling me, no, don't do that one yet, don't do this one yet, send her this other revision. And so that's how Faith and Folly came out. And it was just magical the way it all zoomed together. But it's been such a relief for me, because when I was doing my first self-publishing stint, I was also managing a charity that I founded, but I've retired from the charity. I've put it in the hands of the board. What they do with it is their business, and I've detached myself from that. And I have become so much more relaxed and calm. Giving up control was a very hard thing for me. And Yvonne probably just would laugh, because I'd be like, here's my book. No, wait. Here's my book. No. Let me see this. Let me see that. And the only thing that we've had to really redo was the cover of Faith and Folly, because once I got the copy, it didn't feel right. So she revised that, and I showed it to Curtis, and he's like, oh, that's so much better. And it was the first thing I said, oh, that's so much better. And it was just a matter of changing a few things, and boom, it was done again. But giving up control is very hard for me, but I've learned that, I mean, I'm giving it up to somebody else who's just as goal oriented and as, I don't want to say perfectionistic, but yeah, perfectionistic as I am. Yvonne is like, from a psychological perspective, she's like a mirror image of me. And I've never, ever, ever gone into any kind of project with Yvonne and it not be successful. She was one of the first writers who came on board for Be Unique 8 years, almost 9 years ago now. We're getting old, honey.
No, you might be. I'm not.
Right. And I
No,
have to admit that when I sent the book to Yvonne, I sent it to her asking her to read it and just let me know if it was any good. I had no idea because of the experience with the other publishers I sent it to. I had no earthly idea she was just going to format it and say, "Well, we're ready to publish it," because I was flabbergasted. The book on domestic violence I had sent to three of the publishing houses. Plus, I had gone through a I guess you could call it a presentation with one of the representatives at a book event, and all of them had been so negative that it sat on the shelf for 10 years and just ignored it because it was no good. So when I got the information back or the response back from Yvonne, well, okay, I formatted it. I've got a cover. I've got a back cover. I need this. I need that. I need the other. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't even think I spell checked it. Okay. So that's how I got, I was like, wait a minute, let me at least go through it with some another eye and make sure that I've got it correct. So I think that one of it's part of the magic of midnight publishing. Let me put it that way, is the fact that it is not a 2 year long process. It is very much, I mean, I'm amazed at how fast things have run. They've
little
outpaced
itchy
me,
tweaks,
and
Linda.
I'm pretty much a perfectionist. So I keep looking at that script saying, oh, it could be better. It could be better. One of the things that a friend of mine said, you got to stop the train somewhere because you can't paint it when it's rolling. And that's how I have come to the point where I am, where I'm really happy with the book and the text. It's now time to get it into the format and get it on the way. But it has been a process that is so unique and so it's just 180 degrees from what you find in the establishment, if you'll allow
Yeah.
me to call it that. And it's refreshing. It really is. I don't even know how to put it all into words because I've been writing books. My One of the first things I wrote after I retired the first time was an anthology, a genealogy of our family. And I had so much fun doing it, but my father had actually started the research and then he passed away. And I picked it up because my mother wanted to see it finished. And I thought, well, I've written enough briefs in my time. Surely I can do this. And I learned how to do genealogical research and how to put it together. So anyway, that was the first thing I did. But then that opened this door to where it's just, I can't really close it. I just have to write another story.
I love
And
it.
because there's all these stories in my head, there's characters in my head, and writing a story, it's comforting to hear you say some of the things you are because you're right. The characters suddenly take on a life of their own, and they run down this path, and you're like, "Wow, I never saw that coming." So it has been fun and exciting, but it's also been unique to Midnight Publishers that has reignited that passion and having me pull these things off of the shelf that I had stuck there and said, that'll never get published. I'll leave it for the kids and throw it out. So that is one of the things I can say about Yvonne and the publishing, what you do, that has been it's been helpful to me. But it's been more than that. It's been encouraging and motivating. And that those are words that don't come easily in this field.
And
No.
it's sadly many years ago when we started this, there was more continuity with authors. We all wanted to see each other succeed because we are only successful as we help others to be. I have lived that, I have preached that, and if I have a headstone, I want that on my headstone. That and she made a difference in at least one person's life. If it was to tell that person to go to hell or whatever. But the thing is, this thing has now flipped, and I have noticed a change in the energy in this world, and that is it's become a cutthroat world. Not on my watch. Never, ever will I allow that to happen because we are only as successful as we allow others to be. I made a promise, and when I make a promise, those that know me know I keep that promise. I don't make a promise unless I'm going to keep it. I made a promise that if God was my pilot in this endeavor, that my authors would always have encouragement, they would always have support. I would never allow them to doubt themselves because doubt is the biggest killer of a person's self confidence, self respect, and the knowing that they are beautiful and worthwhile. All of the authors with Midnight Publishing are very important, and they're all my favorites. Now, people say, what are you talking about? Okay. If you've never had children, you don't understand. If you've had children like we have, you understand. My oldest son is my favorite because he was my first child. He was my boy. My oldest daughter, who is my middle child, is my favorite child because that little bitch is so much like me. My third child is my youngest, and she is my favorite because she and I almost died. Now, are my children perfect? No, they're not. Will I nail them to the wall if they're wrong? Oh, you bet it. They know it. If they are right, will I go to the wall for them? Yes. Do I encourage them to be successful in whatever it is they do? Every single day. Are they told that they are important, loved, and appreciated? Every day. This is the way that indie authors should be treated, need to be treated, and this is what we do here. And Linda, I have to say something, my sweet cousin. When you said those things to me about what you, not, I don't remember how you put it, so I'm going to paraphrase it, that you were, I'm going to use a word that amazed, that's not the word that you said, but Linda's been following me for years. And I did not realize what her feelings were and how what she thought about the accomplishments that I have made. I am not a braggart. I let other people brag. I just do what I do. If people want to find out about me and talk about me, they know how to find me. I just do everyday things. So, humbly, my sweet cousin, thank you for those words. They meant a lot. And baby, we're gonna make you famous. As Billy Kid told the chef, I make you famous.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to let you. So there you go. And then somewhere down the road, you and I will get together and we'll collaborate on those stories about the teenage years because we
Oh,
could put one heck of a book together with some teenagers that would raise eyebrows.
And we'll make it fiction so we can embellish it because that's what we do as authors. And I have
That
to
is
tell you,
true.
I
It'll
have
be fun.
it'll be lots of fun. I have to tell you something else. The character in your book, Secrets, her name is Brianna. Well, if you
Yeah.
go and read Tangled Minds, which is loosely based on my oldest daughter, Brenda, because she made some really stupid decisions, her name is Brianna. So tell
I
me
did.
we're not meant to be here today.
I love
And I
it.
did not know that. I did try to read your book, Tangled Minds, and I couldn't quite get through it. That was a little bit too raw for me, which is why, again, I appreciate the fact that we're all different. But some of your other stuff has I have been able to. to
Thank you.
digest.
Well,
Have you
Tangled
read
Minds was
Murder in the
loosely
Village?
Murder in the Village. That's a dramedy.
Linda,
Tangled
that
Minds
is so much fun.
Tangled Minds was based on Brandy's dumbass decisions when she was a kid. And as soon as she read it, she said, Mama, you wrote about me. I said, Yeah, honey, I did. She said, I didn't do all those things. I said, No, but you did enough of them.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was asked was about my book is if it was real or if it was fiction, because one of the things that I do is I use the real names of some people who have meant a lot to me. And one of them in the book Secrets is JR and Eva, who were the actual names of my parents. But I do that so that their name lasts. And it's a way of giving them a legacy. And so, no, it has nothing to do with them. And no, it's not a nonfiction book. It's not an autobiography by any means, but it is all fiction. But it is a way that I have chosen to use the names of some of the people close to me that will allow their names to go on for a very long time.
And that's how we roll.
That's right. You pay
That's how we
homage.
roll. Sorry?
You're paying homage to them. You're giving them their um, after
Respect.
after they passed on. You're still promoting them and what they meant to you in your life.
Right.
So, what other questions do you have for us and how we can
Um,
help you?
okay, I do have a couple. One is that I am a frequent visitor to some bookstores in the local area and would like to set up a book signing. And then our library has a book reading for new authors. And I don't know how to go about setting those things up. That's actually how the media package question came up, is that I have a media package to help promote it. So I could use some help with that.
You got it.
And yeah, go ahead.
We will help you set that up because we will help you put together what you need to take with you. And when your book goes live, you order as many author copies as you want, be it 1, be it 20, be it 100, and I send you an invoice via PayPal, and then I drop ship them to you. So that's an easy thing to do.
Okay.
Your next question.
Well,
I got to look at it.
let me add to that one.
Sorry.
Because this is something I said I'd like to add to that because this is something
Uh-huh.
that I do. Basically, you just need to visit these stores, get your face in there, talk to them. Now, depending, are you talking about independent bookstores or something like Barnes and Noble, Books a
No,
Million?
these are independents. They're just local bookstores that they're
Okay.
independents. One of them is actually a friend of mine from when I lived in Georgia, and he has a secondhand bookshop.
Okay.
And but he promotes local authors. And I lived in Georgia long enough; I can at least claim it for the better part of my
Yes.
life. So,
I
but again, they usually have. I don't even know what to call it, but some kind of flyer that they put out, and they put something on the window that advertises the author and the book cover. And those are the things that I'm not familiar with creating.
And this is where your, and I can help you with that when the time comes. This is where your social media comes in handy because it's a great way to reach out to other people and get them to know where you're going to be. I call them meet the author events.
Okay.
Yvonne is coming with me in early October to a local mall, localer to me than to her, but it's just a, they call it page and pen. And then next year, she's already signed us up for one in Tampa that we're going to go to. But you just get to know your librarian, you get to know their event coordinator. And Yvonne and I can help you draft emails or make flyers or whatever you need. Um, you just basically put yourself out there and let them know that you're available to come do a book signing. You're available to come do an author talk. So what you would do, depending on what the location is. I've done it in libraries in my hometown, and I've done it in bookstores. I've done it in crystal shops. They do have a little book corner. Um, right now, all of my books are on display in this virtual reality store. They also have a used bookstore component. So you put yourself out there and you go talk to people and find out, hey, would you let me do this? And most people will say yes.
And then we will do you a flyer that says, coming October the 25th, 2025, author Ellie Ryan with secrets. And there's a cover of the book, there's a cover of the time you will be there, and then we email it to you, you print it off, you take it to the folks you need to take it to, you put it all over your social media, we'll put it all over social media. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I cannot reiterate enough. This is what Midnight Publishing does. We don't only just publish for these lovely people, we become their PR people. That's
You
how we
did that.
roll.
You did that for Sherry Richardson, and she doesn't even live locally.
No,
I mean,
she
she
lives in
was going
Illinois.
to, yeah, she was going to a chocolate convention, and Yvonne was promoting her left and right, and she kept saying, "If you're local, come here, come here." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is in Chicago area. This is not local."
And then
Because I was ready,
Sherry
I was
for a
geared
minute.
up, ready to go get in some of that chocolate action.
Let's just talk about Sherry for a minute. When I started this, Linda, Sherry Ann Richardson, who lives in Illinois, she's a homesteader. And she had this book that had sat on a shelf for 25 years.
Yeah.
And she asked me if I would publish it. And it's called A Chocolate Lover's Garden. And what she had done is she had bought the cocoa plant and had grown it to see if she could actually grow real chocolate. So she puts this book together, and it is a history book, a cookbook, a baking book, a gardening book, all in one book. I said, sure, send me what you want me to put in it. Pictures. I said, but we got to be careful with pictures because the more pictures we put, the more it's going to cost. And she wanted it in coffee table style, which is 8.5 by 11. So we put this book together in about a month and a half, 2 months, because she sent it to me. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about this real briefly in a minute. She sent it to me chapter by chapter in Google Docs. So I had to go and pull all that down and put it all together. She sent me the pictures in Google Docs. That's why I say send me a completed manuscript because things get lost in translation. But we put this together. And when she held that book in her hand and I saw that photo of her holding that 25-year dream, my heart jumped because the look on her face was nothing but sparkle and joy. I can't wait to see the look on your face.
Well, you will have that opportunity. So,
And we promote her. We promote her all the time. And then she said, will you do Under a Dragon's Eye? Another 25-year dream. I got that book and I forgot I was formatting it. I was reading it. What's next? What's next? What's next? And the cover came just out of the blue. And so I told her, I said, when you see this cover, you're going to ask, why did you do it that way? Well, Mary will tell you the covers start the story. That's why I sent you the mock up because the cover starts the story. If that cover in mass marketing with the big six, you're going to see the same cover every time.
yeah.
And if that cover does not interest me, I'm not picking that book up. I don't care who wrote it. The cover starts the story. I pick that cover up to look at that cover, then I'm going to flip it on the back and go, huh, there's a dragon and there's a bowling alley sign. Okay, I got to see what the inside is. How does it correlate? Well, I saw the picture of her getting that book. Another sparkle. I learned that the word can't is not in our vocabulary. And Linda, you know Stanley. You know my brother. You were raised with my brother.
Oh,
He
yes,
is,
I was.
well, he is the reason I do what I do.
And he is an inspiration. He
He
truly
is.
is.
He
And,
is.
we also were raised with a cousin who had difficulties as well. He
Yep.
had the measles when he was a baby, and his temperature was so high so long that he had damage from it. And both he and Stanley they were an inspiration. And we saw them, we grew up with them. We saw what they could do. And, I have to say, I've never known the word can't. I just sometimes don't always know the path to get from can to do. And, and that has been, this is not a career that I ever started in or learned about. It's one I decided to join later on. And it is therefore something I'm having to learn as I go along. But hey, I can be taught. So there's hope.
Honey, let me tell you what, you are 99% there already
Okay.
because you you didn't just put your toe in the water. You said, in spite of all the rejections, here, tell me. And I'm not one that's going to bust your dream. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell y'all a little story that's in Dreamcatcher.
But
In
I
19,
would want you to be honest and forthright and tell me if it needed to
have
be
you met
changed or updated.
have you met me?
I have. Actually, I think I've known you more than a day or two, come to
At
think of
least,
it.
right? If I thought it would be changed, I would not hit you over the head with a hammer. I would say,
Ah,
you said this. What do you think about this? And it would be up to you as to whether you're going. You say, but Yvonne, this was what the interpretation was meant to be, or the perspective. And I say, that's fine. It is your story. I'm not going to tell anybody to change their story. That's not my job. My job is to make sure that it is formatted correctly, with the conversations the way they're supposed to be, that the grammatical is as perfect as we can get it in this industry. We're all human and we miss things, so get over it. And to help you stay beautiful, be successful, and to live this dream. We took Stanley to the seventh game of the World Series playoffs in 1990 something because he loved the Braves. There were so many people at that game. I'm thinking somebody's going to die or I'm going to die because coming out of that game, you couldn't move. And y'all know I'm 4 foot nothing, and the rest of the world's 10 feet tall. So Stanley wanted a hat to remember this event. Well, you know Stanley, Linda. He's walking through this crowd of 150,000 people, and they're parting like Moses parting the water. I'm trying to keep up with him, and he's single minded on where he's going.
yes, he is.
So the lesson here is stay single minded, my sweet cousin. Stay
Okay.
single minded because we are all here to put you in a bubble of protection, right, Mary?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm ready. So I will, yeah, the book that got rejected so much was the one on domestic violence. And it, it is a book that could honestly be used as a textbook. The story is that well patterned. And I say that simply because I had the help of psychologists writing it and making sure that it fit the paradigm and the model and all that. And it was rejected across the board because there was no market for it, according
It's
to the
not.
publishers. So these other stories I've written and I've put them on the shelf saying, well, it's something the kids can throw away when I'm gone. But I'm excited to be able to get these out and to be able to finally publish them. For me, this is a dream come true and it's exhilarating.
Linda, If that book helps one person in the entire
Mhm.
world, that's all that matters.
That was the reason I wrote it, was because so so much is out there, but it's not factual. And so a lot of times you don't really understand what's happening until it's too late. So I actually wrote that book in the hope of helping one person
Yeah,
escape the actual prison of domestic violence. But so it's been on the shelf for a very long time. But it is
because
as
it
relevant
needed to
today as
wait.
then.
It needed to wait for Midnight Publishing. That's all.
You know what? I think you're right. That's very possible. It needed to wait.
We talked earlier
So,
about location, 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 and we talked about time and place, the right manuscript,
right.
the right publisher, the right time. This is your time. Right now is your time. And Midnight Publishing is your new home.
Okay. And I'm happy to be here. And I thank you for the opportunity.
So, with that, ladies, and have you got any more questions, my sweet cousin, before we close?
No, I think we're good for right now.
Okay, Mary's gonna friend you if she hasn't already. You can chat with her like you chat with me. And you know, speaking of domestic violence, we need to do an imprint. So think about your and all three. I have been a. I am a
Just domestic violence or true stories?
both because there's
Well,
true stories. There's true stories, and then there's you. You own it. Do whatever you want to.
I got you, Mama. I got you.
This is how we roll.
I,
I
I,
am a
I do have I
survivor.
do have one I'm working on for memoirs.
Okay.
So I'll figure it out.
Mary and I both are survivors of domestic violence. I am a proponent of women and men being educated in this
yes.
rat wheel that you get into.
Hmm.
And when people say I can't leave so and so because I call bullshit, I'm just going to call it like it is. I call bullshit. What's the worst they're going to do? Kill you? Well, honey, if you stay in that relationship, they're going to kill you anyway. So
Yes, they are.
you have choices, but you got to make the choice. Nobody else can make it for you. And
And
I will
I
tell
would
you,
like to say domestic violence or abuse does not have to be physical.
no,
I was 25 years in an abusive relationship, never got the first bruise. But I knew something was really, really wrong when I went to bed one night and I prayed that he'd hit me. Because then I could justify my unhappiness. I couldn't justify it to the world when nobody could see what he was doing. And one of my sons was out of the house before it got really bad, but the other one saw it. And so the two of them argue constantly about what dad did or didn't do. It escalates. And like you said, if eventually you're going to die, and the death doesn't have to be a physical death.
no.
I was dying for 2 years inside. My soul was just withering. And when I got out of that relationship, I was able to be who I am today. I could
So,
not be me without leaving.
so
But
when
And
I
you,
think that one of the common denominators in domestic violence or abuse, whatever you want to call it, is that once you're in it and you're trapped, it's very hard to find the doorway to get out, and B, the courage to take that step because of all of the threatened responses and recourse and revenge. And and to me,
they,
I when I worked in law enforcement, I saw abuse that would make Yvonne blush, okay? And
that's saying a
and it
lot.
was something that was always so strong in my heart that I wanted to make a difference. I've worked on the boards of women's shelters and abuse shelters, and I've been active in that community for 40 years. But writing the book, it all came from that very basic, how do I get out? Okay, everybody's telling me this isn't right, but nobody's giving me an option.
Nobody's
And
giving you the map to the door. I know.
yeah, and
Yvonne,
it's very, very difficult.
let's plan to have another show with Linda to talk about just this subject.
Good
When she's a
idea.
little when she's a little farther along with her book, let's do some pre-promotion. Let's do some cross promotion because that's a lot of what Steep Steps is about also, um, with the component of sex abuse. But there's
Yes, it
so
is.
much to
It,
unwrap that we just can't do it all in one day.
right. But you're right. It is. It's a very dark world. And some of the stories that I've run into are stories of pure survival when there was really no way to survive. And so, yes, it is still a topic that I champion. I mean, I still think we don't need to turn a blind eye to that. And
No,
society likes to do that because they don't like what it looks like or what it says about them.
it doesn't
And I
feel
really,
good.
yeah, and I don't want us to do that. I guess that's where I do have a passion, that I really want us to tackle that as a society. We need to be more understanding. And when I first started the police department, there was no recourse. You couldn't go down and you could not call a police officer and have them make a report that you were abused. You had to go sign a bench warrant, and they arrested the person, and then that person was out 4 hours later because all they had to do was say, I'm going to pay my $50 bond and I'm gone. So you had no recourse. You did not have a way to escape. One of the things that has happened through my experience with law enforcement has been seeing women's shelters and abuse shelters be created so that there is even a path to get out. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is down a rabbit hole, I'm sure, and not what you intended for today. But
Yeah.
yes, it is a
And this is why we're not scripted, because it just becomes a conversation. Now, I have a question for you before we
okay.
close. And the question is, how comfortable did you become just having a conversation?
I'm I'm very comfortable. I'm not as comfortable with the first of it. It took me a little bit to find my spot. But I have to say, I've done a lot of speeches, I've done a lot of workshops in my career. I've never done a radio show or a podcast. So this is a new one for me. And no, it has been a good conversation.
So,
Thank you.
my next question, and I always ask this to my first time guest, I ask that question, and then my next question is, are you willing and ready to come back and let's, as your book on domestic violence gets closer and closer for release, come back and let's do a show on domestic violence?
I would be happy to do that.
I rest
I
my
just
case, Your
assumed
Honor.
she would. I wasn't going to ask her. I don't want permission. I just want her.
Well, we can certainly, yes, that is not a problem. So
So
I'll be glad to come back anytime.
ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, this is what we do. This is how we roll. As Midnight Publishing grows, I'm going to be going after my other authors and saying, "Come on the show. Trust us. I've had my shots. I might bite, but I've had my shots. You won't get sick. But we'll have fun. We will enjoy the camaraderie, the common bond, the common goal, the dream making. Just call us magic." Of course, I've been accused of being a witch. Yeah, that works because I make things happen. So, Mary, do you have any final thoughts?
No, but other than Linda, it was a delight to meet you, and
Thank you.
I can't wait to dig into what you're doing, and we'll help you get where you need to go.
I thank you. And it's been a pleasure to meet you too. Obviously, I know Yvonne pretty well, but it's been a pleasure to meet you, to finally put a face with a name.
Yes.
And remember, my sweet dear cousin, always be you. Always be real.
Unfortunately, that's pretty much what you get, is what you see.
Because that's the way we roll too. We just accept people where they are in life. I've known this woman, we were babies together. That's how far back we
Yes,
go.
we were. We were.
I, we were. I've known Mary for, I forgot how long, it
I
doesn't
think we
matter.
decided to just round it up to 20 years because
Yeah,
it's so
that works.
close to 20
That,
years.
that works. That works. So join us here next Wednesday. We may or may not have a guest. Oh, before we go, I have to tell y'all something I learned the other night. Y'all know I look at a lot of history channels on TV because that's how I roll. Because the dialogue with Hollywood now is just a joke. Anyway, Virginia Woolf was an independent author. She and her husband created their own publishing house. Her book was published using wallpaper as the cover. The outside was hand painted and it was hand stitched. So, ladies and gentlemen, indie authors have been around for a long time.
Yes.
And if
But
I
that,
can say one thing, they are a whole lot more refreshing than the industry.
thank
Oh,
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and
You
gentlemen, with
have you have my endorsement all the way down the line.
doesn't get any better than that. So,
Okay.
we will close for this session of All Things Books and Publishing. I hope you learned a lot. We have a new author. We need Dale. You got to get Dale in here because he's got to get you his stuff.
yeah, I
Um,
got to push him to finish his book.
yeah, because that meeting is not going to be for naught. Don't make me go back up to Melbourne and knock him over the head with a 2x4 just to get his attention, because I will do that. Let him understand it.
Yes,
Anyway, this is
I
our
will text him
right now.
and,
She's
and
texting. See, that's how we roll. So next
nag
Wednesday
him.
at 11 o'clock, meet us here for All Things Books and Publishing. Linda, I am going to send you the link so that you can share it with your folks and they will get to see it. They will get to see it everywhere. But I'm gonna tag you in it when I put it up on my page, and then they can go in and see it at their leisure because it's always going to be out there.
Okay.
Because until next week, I want to thank you both so much. Mary, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Linda, my darling, thank you for your faith in Midnight Publishing. We are humbled and honored you're here. And you know I love you dearly, always have, and always will.
Love you too, dear. And thank you for the opportunity
You're
so
welcome.
much. All
So
right.
until next week, I got to go take a guy to an eye doctor, so I will leave it here. Mary, I'll be talking to you later.
Yes, ma'am. See
All
you
right.
all later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.